Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the basic format of the IELTS speaking test and what to expect in each part. Well, the whole test takes place over a time frame of 12 to 14 minutes, with most tests lasting probably a bit more than 13, but obviously it depends on the candidate and it depends on the examiner. Part 1 is a series of questions, usually about 12 questions, and there will be 3 separate topics. The first topic will be home or study, and then the others could be almost anything. It could be about books, it could be about cars, it could be about painting, and you will receive 3 or 4 questions about each of those topics. The questions tend to be short, personal, and I could say easy, but not everybody finds them equally easy. The goal here is simply to respond to all of the questions and to give reasons for your answers. We're not looking for hugely long answers in part 1 because there are so many questions. This part of the exam only lasts for 4 to 5 minutes, and the examiner should try to get it as close to 5 minutes as possible. So, candidates shouldn't talk for like a minute for every answer, much more like 10 to 15 seconds for a reply. Talking about part 2, it is the long term where candidates are given a topic. The topics will be about a person, a place, an experience or a thing. And there's a prompt card. It tells you what you're going to talk about, and it gives you several ideas about what you should say. You don't have to follow the prompt exactly, as long as you're talking about the topic of it. You don't have to cover all of the bullet points. Part 2 lasts for 1 to 2 minutes, but the emphasis is on to try to get it as close to the 2 minutes as possible. You're given 1 minute to prepare, you can write down some notes, and then 2 minutes for speaking, to try to talk for as long as possible without pausing or stopping or getting lost, and to stick to the topic. Yeah? Whatever the topic is, including the correct tense of the topic and the correct gender of the person that you're talking about, etc., to stick to that topic and to communicate to the examiner clearly what you think about it. Talking about part 3, it is the most fundamental part of the exam, and it's where the score is usually decided for 80 or 90% of candidates. It really divides higher level and lower level candidates, part 3, because the ability to respond to unfamiliar questions, which you're going to meet in part 3, because they're much more difficult and they're longer, and you should try to give longer answers with several reasons or different points of views or something like that in response to them. So it's much more challenging in part 3, and the examiner will tend to interrupt you more and challenge your answer and say, why do you think that? What's the reason you believe that? Can you give me an example of that? So it's a more interactive part of the exam compared to part 1, and it definitely should not be treated in the same way as part 1. It's much more detailed, the answers are much more involved, and it really gives candidates the opportunity to express themselves fully, and it gives examiners the opportunity to try to draw as much language out of the candidate as possible, and to see what the ability of the candidate really is when their ideas and their statements are actually challenged. Talking about the timing of part 3, it's 4 to 5 minutes, the same as part 1, but of course examiners will try to push it as close to the 5 minutes as possible to try to get the best sample of language that they possibly can. Alright, well, I hope candidates found this video helpful. I will be back with more hints and tips soon, and I will see you in the next video.